Hey, Arrow, how you doing, man?
I'm doing fantastic. How about you, sir?
I'm doing great if that's on the menu. I'll take that.
Hey, this greatest hits collection, all of your music in one place. I mean, do you sit back and go, whoa, this is my story?
Well, it's pretty fantastic. I got a call from a guy named Jeremy Holiday from Iconoclassic Records. And Jeremy used to work for Sony, who we had a relationship with for years. And wanted to know if I'd be interested in putting out a greatest hits record. And I said, absolutely. And he said, because he thought that he could sort of untangle the spaghetti that was my career with Sony and get the licensing for all the songs, not just the songs from our own albums, but also for the movie soundtracks that we did. And we did many. So it turned out to be a great project, and looking forward to it.
One of the things that I've always thought of you guys is that you are the creators of the power ballad, because when you take a song like Tender Years and you sit back and listen to it all these years later, you're going, my God, they were the instigators of the power ballad.
Well, you know, that song was inspired by all the great songs of the Brill Building back in New York back in the day, Lieber and Stoller and all the great hits with the Drifters. And, you know, that whole era of songwriting. And, you know, when you take all the production out of it and you just come down to a piano and a voice and some lyrics and a melody, I mean, that's kind of what's underneath it all. But we got a great sax player, Michael Antunes, who was in the movie Eddie and the Cruisers, and he just breathes magic into that song every night.
Speaking of Eddie and the Cruisers, my friend Jerry Lenarducci just recently saw you guys in Cincinnati, and he says, ask him if Eddie and the Cruisers will ever go out. And I said, aren't they one and the same? So I have to ask you, are they one and the same?
Well, you know, I've sometimes said that I never did any Eddie and the Cruisers songs. Eddie and the Cruisers did my songs. You know, those are songs that I wrote for my band. Couple of songs I wrote to be in that movie, but for the most part, you know, those songs are songs of my band. I'm glad your buddy saw us in Cincinnati. What a great night that was. I mean, the show was almost 3 hours long. Wow. It was one of those magical, you know, rock and roll nights.
Well, he's such a big Bruce Springsteen fan, so you take it to 3 hours. My God, that put him in that moment. And he's always been such a big supporter of what you guys have always done, because you understand what it's like to be live on that stage.
Well, you know, we're an old school band. You know, we're old school bar band. We started back in the 70s. You know, we played 6-7 nights a week, 5-6 sets a night. So we worked pretty hard at it, and you know, we were used to playing long and hard, and you know, also celebrating the fact that people came out to see us. You know, you can have a great band, but you need a great audience to make a magical night, and you know, and that's, you know, we've been blessed to have that for 50 years now.
When you do a song like Boardwalk Angel with Benny King, I mean, the emotion that you put inside those vocals as well as the background music, I mean, it had to have been a moment for you as it was happening.
Oh, my God. I mean, Benny King, one of the all-time greats, the lead singer of the Drifters, of course, and then had the great solo career singing Stand By Me. And, you know, he just is one of the pillars of that whole style of music. And I wrote a song called Boardwalk Angel for the film Eddie and the Cruisers, and Kenny Vance, who was our producer, was in a band called Jay and the Americans back in the day. Yeah. And his producers were Lieber and Stoller, who also produced the Drifters and wrote songs for Elvis Presley, and, you know, Phil Spector worked for them. So it's pretty close to the big bang of rock and roll. And, you know, Kenny invited Benny King down to the studio, unbeknownst to me, knock on the door. I opened the door, and there he is. And I mean, I was just so thrilled. And, you know, he came in and he sang background to Boardwalk Angel, and at the tail end of the song, he said, "I want you to stand by me." I almost passed out when he said it. Benny King said, "Stand by me," in a song that I wrote. You know, pretty cool.
Most listeners don't understand the process of what it means to remaster the music. I mean, you were in that studio with Vic. What was it that Vic was bringing to it that you know, basically reintroduced you to the roots of your own music?
Well, I mean, we were very lucky in that, we recorded at RCA Studios in New York City back in the day, and used some of the classic technology of the times, where a lot of great old rock and roll records were made. But it was the top technology at the time, and things have advanced a little bit. So to be able to bring the songs back into the studio and not pull them apart, but just sort of polish them up a little bit, just put that little shine on that you can do now with the new technology, put a little more clarity into it.
With a song like Running Through the Fire, did it start off as an a cappella? Because there are many times in many conversations I've gotten into, I said, John was singing that well before the instruments came in first.
That I've never thought about that. Kenny Vance was in a great a cappella group. I mean, Jay and the Americans started out that way. Those guys were doo-wop guys.
Yeah,
that's how far back they go. And boy, I never thought about that. But yeah, I'm just sort of singing with a finger snap and a piano. Just a little piano bass line that I'm singing underneath. But yeah, I mean, I should have brought in the 3-part harmony. Put 3 cats on a fence and see what happens.
Well, you've always been so true to the rules of rock in the way that it's like you believe in the roots, the sound before it got to you, that you created the sound in the moment, and now you're carrying the sound forward. You're a full circle here.
Well, when I was a kid, I grew up in the 50s and 60s, so I'm a lot older than I look. On the radio, so but so the music that of that era is the music that inspired myself and all my friends in the band to pick up the instruments in the first place. So we wear our influences on our sleeve as a way of paying tribute to our heroes and the music that went before us, and also a way to leave the breadcrumbs, so to speak, so that so that musicians who followed us, came after us, could find their way back to our roots, not just to us, but to our roots.
Is it odd to look out at that crowd and see the Generation Zers and the millennials and stuff like that, when you know darn good and well that the people that discovered you back in the 70s, I mean, they're grandparents now, but now there's a younger crowd out there watching you as well?
Well, I'm just amazed that it's going to be 50 years this year for us. 50 years for the band, 40 years for that movie track soundtrack success, and it's just hard to believe that all this time has gone by, but it has, and it's been a wonderful ride all the way, and mostly in part because of the crowd that comes out to see us.
Yeah. John, you got to come back to this show anytime in the future. The door is always going to be open for you, dude.
Hey, much appreciated. That greatest hits record, you can get it on Amazon and probably make a really good stocking stuffer,
Well, you be brilliant today, okay, sir?
All right. Thank you. You too. Thanks. Appreciate the opportunity.